your organization is funded, right? Like you have raised one round of funds. So how was that experience, or who are your investors? If you can tell.
We decided last year around this time or a little earlier, we decided that it was time to manufacture here in India, and for that, of course, we needed capital. The three of us decided that this is something that we want to do long term, and that's when things got very serious, even with Sangya. And then we realized that it was a good time to raise a round of funding, and we ended up raising a first round in September. And our investors are Ambesharam. They are the first marketplace for all sex-related products here in India. They started in 2012, and it was actually, the whole round was very quick. Raj, who's the founder of the company, was extremely accommodating, very understanding about the fact that, this isn't something that we've done before. And I thought it would be a little painful to have a round of investing done, because then you suddenly have this person who's dictating what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. But so far it hasn't been anything like that. I mean, the only thing that we've had from Ambesharam has been unconditional support for all our needs. And it's sort of put us at ease, because now we're going to raise another round in a few months again. And the way they've sort of interacted with us and the support that they've given us all these last few months have just made everything seem like it's all doable and that it's all possible. So it's been pretty fantastic, because the first round, I think, is the hardest. It's where you're the most jittery. You don't know what's happening. You haven't done this before. Everything is very intimidating. So, to have someone to calm you down and say that, yes, all of it is good and we're good to go, just goes a long way.
Yeah, I think it gives you that stability to actually brainstorm and be creative and say, oh, this is as far as I can take things now that I know that this part of the company is solid and stable.
Yeah.
And then it's just, there's so much more space to think freely and think long term than to just feel that, anxiety of what's the next step going to be.
Yeah, so then all our concentration after that first round went into manufacturing in India. And then, suddenly the catalog sort of expanded in terms of what we were doing here in India, because the whole idea of Sangya is that we want to rely as little as possible on imported products, and we want to manufacture as much as we possibly can here in India. But that whole process is very slow, because this has not been done here in India before. And we were one of the first ones to do it. We have been one of the only ones to do it. And that journey is also very long and uncharted. So to have an investor backing sort of makes it feel like it's more doable.
Okay. So for your next round, do you think Indian investors are open for any kind of a businesses? Because I'm into service industry, and nobody invests in the services business. If you are a health tech IT company, and if you are like a 225th, same product into the market, but still you get the funding. Because the investor market is very different, right? Like it's a very different thing. So how's your response? Like how's the interest of investors into, if you are reaching out to them, how's the response?
I'd honestly my thought process was that there wouldn't be a lot of interest, because this has just not been done before. But like I said, there was another company that raised a round of funding last year, and those were all Indian investors. And that was also the first institutional funding in this sector last year. And like I said, that has opened up a lot of doors. And following that, I am seeing a lot of interest. I mean, there will be people who will look at this and look at the taboo aspect of this industry and refrain from investing. But anyone who's a serious investor will also look at it and realize what a nascent industry this is and how it's on a verge of a boom. So it would be a smart thing to do to invest, and anybody who is serious about investing realizes that. So in that sense, there is a lot of interest from anyone who is thinking about making serious amounts of money. So while we've sort of sent feelers out and spoken to some people, there is a lot of interest. We're sort of holding off because we are we're going to get our first Indian-made manufactured vibrator in our hands in about a month or so, and we're launching into nutraceuticals. It's only after all of that launch happens that we're going to think about doing the next round in about 6 odd months. But the conversations, you still talking to people in the industry, the investors, so you get a feel of how things are. And there is a lot of interest. People realize how this is just on the verge of a boom. So I'm personally very optimistic about this.
Yeah. So, and what's your future plan? You want to get more kinds of products in your portfolio, or you are looking at? You said you are planning to get into nutraceutical as well, or focusing more on education. What's the plan?
So the plan is to at some point be completely self-reliant, in the sense that to not have to procure anything from China, and to manufacture more and more complicated vibrators and products here in India. At the moment, what's going to come out in the next 1 month is going to be our first very basic vibrator, and but that's just the start. And it's for this that we want to raise another round, so that we can get more heavily into manufacturing here in India, so that the reliance on China, so to speak, can go down, so that even when there's a situation such as COVID, where countries shut down entirely, it doesn't impact businesses, it doesn't shut us down. And in that sense, I think that would be very helpful. Where nutraceuticals are concerned, yes, we're launching those hopefully in a month, and the idea of Sangya is to not just manufacture in India, but to also have an entire ecosystem of anything pleasure related manufactured and sold here in India. So that involves your nutraceuticals, it involves all the accessories where your pleasure products are concerned, it involves skincare, which we're already doing. So it's the expansion of the catalog that we're looking at, all of it though manufactured here in India. So that is the future of Sangya. And I think in a couple of years, the range of what is manufactured here versus what is imported will have, that ratio will have changed. And that's the direction that we want to go in.
Okay. And in terms of market, like geographically speaking, is it only the metro cities, those who are interested in your product, or do you have,
You want to add to the...
Yeah, it is... Again, there were so many misconceptions about this whole industry when we started. When we started, we were so certain that our customers are primarily going to be from all the metro cities, from the big 4 cities. We couldn't have been more wrong. Majority of our sales come from tier 2 cities. Majority of them. And this is data that we see on a monthly basis, because we sit and we analyze, right? Because then that sort of has an impact on everything else, like how you want to market, how you want to brand it, where you want to push, so on and so forth. All of it is from tier 2 cities, actually. So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
I think tier 1 is how you break through with your presence on social media.
Correct.
For sexual wellness space and sexual brands. But the people buying, the people who know what they're looking for, the people with the most questions, a lot of it comes from tier 2 cities. And I think we've discussed this before as well, where it looks like sometimes with tier 1 spaces, the assumption is that, oh, I can just Google this. I know what sex is about. I know what pleasure is about. I don't have to ask these questions. So there's a little more hesitation that, you think everyone around you already knows. So if you ask, then people may think you're stupid. So there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of fear of coming across as ignorant. But in tier 2 spaces, I think the curiosity is something that it exists more openly and more freely, where people are just like, no, I want to know, so you tell me.
Yeah.
So the questions come a little more freely. They're more aware of what kind of things they want to experiment with or explore with. So they come to the website also knowing exactly what kind of experience they want to have, or what category of product or pleasure they're looking for. And they will ask you very pointed questions, so you can then just tell them, how your catalog can serve them. So that was very interesting for us to notice the difference with the tier 1, tier 2 mindsets.
And I think that's what I'll say, beauty of India as well as irony. I feel that people over here are very open-minded, not the way it is portrayed on media, that we are very conservative, orthodox country. It's not like that. I'll tell you my personal experience, that when I started being a single mom and moved to Pune, my friends were very much worried, because I was in Bangalore and people were like, friends were like, Bangalore is a metro city, and it's nobody cares, nobody will ask you questions or anything. Are you sure about Pune? And I'm telling you, it's been like 7 years now. Me, my daughter, we'll live very happily, kind of a thing. But nobody actually, ever made me uncomfortable by saying that, are you a single mother, or how do you manage, or all those things. Nobody. People are like very normal, nice. I mean, the way you said, no, that usually you think that you'll get hate, but actually you do not, and you're like, oh, what's happening? And I also feel that our country, otherwise, people are very open. In terms of sexuality and all those things, we know that in our media, we don't openly speak about it, right? In movies, thankfully, there are no roses or flowers anymore. But still, there is nothing openly also as well. Like, it's still very much, under the carpet. They speak everything, all the things. Having said that, but I think and I don't want to quote that, okay, Kama Sutra, when all and Swayamvar used to happen, and it's very feminist kind of a country earlier. Now we are not. But I think what we see in the mainstream media or movies or anything, it's not the real world. Real world is pretty normal, and people are like, okay, this is what I need, this is what I do not understand, this is what I go ahead. So that's what I think it's a very different country compared to what we think, and I am very happy to know that tier 2 cities, and Pune is a tier 2 city in as per definition. We are not. We are a pretty good city, I guess. And in terms of the customer, if we are trying to understand, are these the guys those who are buying more, or the girls those who are buying more? Who are your customers?
It's everything, everyone. We've had women buying for themselves as individuals. We've seen them buying as groups of friends, where they had WhatsApp groups, and they set reminders ki sale is coming up, guys, we need to shop at so and so hour, and they would all come to the website together and then discuss on the WhatsApp group who bought what, and then give each other reviews. We've had people message us saying, I really want to buy this to surprise my wife on our anniversary or honeymoons. I'm leaving for my honeymoon on this date, so please deliver by this particular date so I can surprise my wife. Birthdays as well. There have also been people who are in long distance relationships, so then when they plan their trip to meet somewhere, they're just like, can you deliver to this hotel room before I reach there, so then I can surprise my partner. So it's been a mix really, because there were people who were just like, I'm at home, I want to experiment and figure out what my body likes or doesn't like. There were people who said, I'm a survivor of trauma, or I'm a survivor of rape, so I'm not ready for people to touch me, but I want to experience some kind of sensation and see if a toy helps me sort of get ready for the human touch again. So we've had those people shop from us as well.
Yeah, that there's a series on Prime, Fleabag. It's my favorite, and she gifts her sister for her birthday a vibrator.
Dressed like her.
Oh, yeah. And it's one of my. So when I was watching this, I was like, that's a nice gift. That's a nice gift.
There's a lot of gifting between friends, which we haven't anticipated,
and that's a good thing. And what about the age group? Is it something, like couples, those who are later point of time, they lose the interest in sex, or intimacy, and do they think that, okay, now adding these pleasure toys is going to get back the charm that we used to have in the initial days? Hormonally fine. Initially, you all feel excited. Later point of time, you get used to the partner. Later, it gets like, okay, I'm getting too much used to the partner, and then you're like, okay, brother, sister staying in the same house, kind of a thing, like all the typical Indian marriage stories that happen. But although the typical Indian couples, are they exploring, or do you have those customer line as well? Are they thinking that they should?
Yes, I think a very normal part of this journey is to find age groups, say between 25 to 45, but that's mainly because so many of us have a stronger social media presence, and digital spaces are not being used for conversations on pleasure and sexuality by all age groups, right? Someone on the older age group is probably just using it to find out if their niece and nephew is doing okay in that other country, etc. So the usage of Instagram or other social media platforms is not the same. But now places like Times of India and so many other newspapers as well are on, on print, talking about these brands as well, talking about us, talking about the options available. And that's when you realize that older people are also showing an interest in exploring their sexuality, right? We've had divorcees come to us and saying that I'm not entirely sure what I was experiencing was actually in the realm of pleasure. So I want to try a toy just by myself, no pressure from a partner, and to just figure out if this is something I like.
Correct.
We've had I think men in their 60s who contacted us saying that they wanted to get something for their wives because they wanted to make sure that their wives were having a good experience. So it wasn't so much ki, oh, we've been married so long that now, chalo, we have to try toys. It was more like if I can give you one more experience, why not?
Correct.
So I've seen that, we've seen that curiosity across age groups. People are just very excited to make each other happy. It's very sweet.
Yeah, and
I think also a lot of our customer base is quite young, and I think that's to do with the price point. Our toys are very reasonably priced as compared to some of the others available out there. And just due to that price point, it ends up attracting a younger crowd, people who've just graduated from college, who've just gotten jobs, who are just starting out work and don't have salaries that will support them having extremely extravagantly expensive toys. So just from the price point perspective also, there is that other extreme of having a younger crowd who are not just experimenting and finding out, but also come to us because we're just reasonably priced.
Correct.
And accessibility generally has been a very big thing for Sangya, because the whole idea was that the whole idea has been that we don't want you to sell a kidney for a toy. We want it to be reasonably priced so that you get to have these experiences.
Correct.
So yeah, I think it's a bit of both.